Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to Zombicide, Friends and Foes. This is an expansion that kind of goes between both of the big box sets, Black Plague and Green Horde. Um, so you'll need one of the two to play it. All the content goes perfectly well. There's new survivors, there's new zombies, and there's some special companions who are your friends and your foes. Um, so you're going to get more content for all that to add into the game. Some new tiles. Um, but you're not going to have any extra boards or anything like that. So you'll need, so you just have to mix and match them in there. The only thing that's going to happen with compatibility-wise are the quests. So there are 10 quests in here. 4 of them use tiles from this set as well as Black Plague. The other 6 use tiles from this set and Green Horde. So if you only own one of those 2, you won't be able to play all 10. If you own both, it's all your delight. You get to play everything. Alright, so let's hop in and see what we got here. So we're going to have a bunch of new equipment cards, zombie cards. We're going to have 6 familiars, some more tiles, which we'll get into all these as we go, 4 new survivors, and 19 zombies who are the tainted. So these are a brand new type we did a deal with. Although if you're familiar with modern Zombicide, you're probably familiar with poisoning enemies. So definitely cool. So alright, let's hop in and see what these tainted guys do. We're going to start with our tainted walkers. So I'm going to just show off the miniatures. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 of each. So 21. Not 21. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 18. 6? Yeah, 18. Let me move my book out of the way here. So 3 different, 6 of each of the 3 different designs. So tainted walkers. Oh, my lighting is really bad on here. Sorry. Yeah, they're kind of all like spiky and bloaty. But they're your normal orcs. I believe they're called, yep. There are a few orcs. So we have that design. We have this design. This guy's really thorny, but you can see like on their wrists, their arms are like bloating. They're about to burst. Their backs are kind of a little bit more bulbous. And then we have, yeah, this guy's really gross. Ugh, look at that. I don't know why my lighting is so terrible today. It's also on the color. These guys are bright green, so they're definitely going to stand out. And then we have the Tainted Abomination, who is like a minotaur actually, of some sort. So instead of being an ogre, he is like a minotaur. So it's kind of cool, a little bit different creature. But he still has some big spikes on him. But yeah, I definitely wouldn't want to deal with him either. And we'll look at his rules here in a second. So what do Tainted Walkers do to us? Tainted Walkers follow these rules. They do 2 damage to you. They a minimum of 1 damage to destroy, 1 experience point. Tainted Walkers are both considered orcs and walkers, so if anything references them, but they do not benefit for the extra activation from standard walkers. Then they have Tainted Blood Spray. A survivor killing a Tainted Walker standing in their zone endures a single hit in return, inflicting 2 wounds. An armor roll is allowed. So basically, if you melee swipe these guys with a sword or axe or whatever, they explode and you get sprayed with their tainted blood. This potentially do 2 damage to you. And they use the Horde rules. So if you haven't seen the Green Horde unboxing, a very simplified reason, or how the Horde rule works, is the cards are going to have these little flags on here, and it's going to show all of them are going to be Tainted Walkers. So when you draw a card that has the Horde on it, you place the card like normal. So if I'm in orange and I drew this, I place my 3 walkers down. But then you take an additional one and you put it off to the side group called the Horde. Then eventually you're going to draw a card called, what's it called? It's, like Horde Unleashed or something like that. But basically then what it does is you take all the miniatures that are, when you spawn that card, you take all the miniatures that are in the Horde that have gathered over time, and they all get summoned to one spot. But then you don't have to do anything else. So this just adds to these guys being in that Horde. So if you're just playing with the original base game, Black Plague, every time you draw one of these guys, an extra one will go to that little Horde spot. Then if you draw one of those Horde cards, they will eventually come out. Now, the question is, do they have one of those in this set? Let's take a quick look. So we have, so here's one that's going to start there. It has Walker, and you see there's not a plus sign in front of the Abomination, because you'll never put the Abomination in a Horde. So these will also have the Abominations mixed into these. Occasionally I tank the Horde. So just a bunch of different ones for that. So you can add all of these guys into your set. And they're going to, of course, have the same yellow back as all the rest of the cards. There we go. So we are going to get 2 copies of it. It's called Enter the Horde. It says all zombie miniatures contained within the Horde spawn in the zone. Don't spawn more zombies in the building. Spawn steps ends here. Yeah, so whether you're opening a building or you're spawning stuff or you're spawning stuff in the spawn round. So you can add this into Black Plague, and just these are going to be the only guys that spawn with the Horde, unless you had something from like the Kickstarter or something like that. But yeah, so at least it's very viable to use those. I don't think there's really any other rules to go over. The other thing would be, it says, if you have an Orc Necromancer gets one with the Horde symbol, or reactivating, it spawns 1 Orc Walker, Orc Fatty, and Orc Runner to the Horde Tanker. Tainted Walkers are not affected by this rule, because they don't really, essentially the Necromancers don't control the Tainted Walkers, I guess. So cool. So that's basically how that works. Then let's... Oh, so here it's kind of showing that off, I guess. It does show that. So it's saying, like, the first time you spawn one, regular spawn, guy happens, nothing special. Then if we spawn on step 2, we get 1 with the Horde. You spawn your 2 guys here, and you put 1 guy over in that spot. And then the third one, if you got another one, then you spawn more guys up in there. And then the next round, if the first time you got, like here it's showing you spawning an Abomination, nothing happens. Then this time you spawn Enter the Horde. It's going to bring all them guys, you know, that previously weren't in the Hordes. Now they're in the Hordes. It's going to take them, spawn 2 of them right there, and then you don't spawn anything else. So 2 of them's not bad, because that might not be as bad. But if this went 3-4 rounds, and all of a sudden you had a bunch of Orcs and a bunch of Fatties and a bunch of Tainted Walkers and all this stuff adding up together in that Horde, depending on where it goes, that could be very bad for you, or where you're standing. Like, if it's in a room here, that's gonna suck, because that's, now you have to enter and have a bunch in a small room. Now, if it's spawning, like, a spot down here, and you're way over on this side of the board, not a big deal. But if it spawns next to the exit you need to go to, that could be very bad for you. Then we have the Tainted Abomination, who does, like most Abominations, 3 damage, takes 3 to kill, 5 experience. Does not benefit from Horde rules. Do not roll armor, 3 damage or dragon fire, but he also has Tainted Blood Spray. A survivor killing a Tainted Abomination stand on their own endures a single hit, inflicting 3 wounds. So essentially, if you melee kill this guy, you've just killed yourself. So make sure that if you're going to kill him, you do it from a distance. And then it just adds in the overall targeting priorities. We have survivors, so they finally added in there. So you have to hit a survivor first, but that's with a miss. Dragons are next. Murders of crows and swarms of rats. So there's some other different ones we can get from other sets. Walkers, Faggots, Abominations, Runners, Zombie Wolves, and Necromancers are at the end. Cool. So that's our priorities. What do we have next in the book? I don't think there's a lot in here because it's a little expansion. So we're just going to go over stuff that's kind of been shown in the other things. So we have new tiles, so hedges and watering zones. Again, if you've played Green Horde, this stuff isn't anything new. But you can buy that, just goes over it. So hedges, are basically they block line of sight. So hedges interrupt line of sight for survivors and zombies. Actors standing in the tower zone from the Wolfsburg expansion can see over that. A die roll a die whenever a survivor crosses a hedge without any survivor having a line of sight on a 1-added orc walker. Or an available walker if you choose, if no orc walker is available. So basically it's you can't see through the hedge, but you can walk through it. But if you go blindly, you might end up with a chance that there was a zombie hiding on the other side, essentially. And then we have watering holes, which are special tiles. You have water. They have little like shores on the outside to show where you can walk in and out. Otherwise, everything else is a dark straight divide. It's a ledge. Zombies can't pass, but survivors can spend extra actions to move across it. And so a bank represents an easy passage. It's nice to get through. A ledge represents a steep division. So there we go. So leaving a watering hole, spending additional action, no penalty if you to another watering hole. No spending additional action. Through a bank, no penalty, or through a ledge, spending additional action. So if you want to walk through the water, it takes you more to walk through the water, as long as you're not one of them coasts trying to leave, or you can spend extra action to get up or down one of the ledges. Zombies have no penalty for walking through the water at all, but they can't leave through a ledge. So what's that mean for you? So that's showing like this zombie right here. He can see Doran right here, but he can't get to him. So it says he's unable to cross the western ledge because he can't get up there, so he has to go another way. So he can go up or down. But then, of course, it does the split rule, which I don't like, is that since he can go either direction because they're even amounts, you add a zombie the other way. I don't like that they multiply zombies like that. Then we have the hedges over here. So it says this walker has a line of sight on Doran following normal movement, so he's going to move toward him. Because these guys are both blocked by hedges, so the zombie can't see them, they can't see, so they don't realize that they're there. So he's going to go this way. And it says, this one here says, a hedge prevents a zombie from having a line of sight on Doran, as it doesn't see anyone. The zombie moves one zone towards a noiseless board, which is where these two are. So the two routes of equal length, north and west, are available. Players choose to have him move that way. So now they could arguably have him go north, across the hedges to Doran, but they're going to go this way and not make him have to fight him. But now, here's the other rule they don't point out in here is, so now if Caitlin or Solvig decide to cross over these hedges, they would have to roll a die. Except Doran can see all the way down. He can see there's not a zombie there, so they wouldn't have to roll for that. That's the only rule they forgot to mention. Yeah, if anyone can see that other side, whether it's that, as long as someone can see and say, yep, there's no one there, hey, you're good to cross through that hedge, you're fine. So other features for that, survivors benefit from the speed enchantment, ignore watering hole effects. Siege engines are destroyed when they're set in watering holes. Dragonfire from any origin has no effect on water holes. You can't set water on fire. Actors moving from a dry zone to a water hole, whether through it is a bank or ledge, following normal movement rules. So you can drop down off of a ledge for free. You just have to spend a point to crawl back up a ledge. Yeah, so that's fairly simple there. So those are kind of neat. If not on here, all the hedges are on the tiles. If you get the Green Horde set, you actually get tokens of the hedges, so you can kind of play around and move them where you want, which is really fun. Then the last new thing in the set, which is actually brand new, are familiars. So familiars are equipment cards. A familiar recognizes a survivor has its card in your backpack as a handler. Familiar cards can be traded or lost the same way as regular equipment. If such a card is lost, remove the familiar miniature as well as it has fled the scene. Each survivor can begin the game with a single familiar. Before the game begins, choose one, put a card in its handler's backpack. The corresponding familiar miniature is set in the same starting zone as its handler. Over the course of the game, can gain or exchange familiars with your teammates in order to have multiple in their backpack. Some quests allow survivors to put familiar cards in the equipment pile or link familiars to objectives. In that case, follow the special rules. So what are they? They is considered a survivor. So it's like your companions from other games, other Zombicide games. Is defeated if and removed by the first wound it receives. Discard corresponding card. Due to the magical bond, its handler endures 1 wound, no armor roll as well. So the only thing that makes them a little bit dangerous. If they get killed, you can't basically throw them in front of you as a meat shield. They're going to take damage. If they die, you also take a hit. Possess the list of skills as long as they're in the same zone both in the same zone. You have the skills listed on their cards. Bonuses are cumulative if a handler has several familiars. So you can have a guy that's just running around with multiple animals. You can be your Beastmaster. Can freely move with its handler as long as they're both in the same zone. In that case, all special rules still rated on the handler also apply. A familiar does not have an inventory. So now, here's the thing. They can stick with the handler, with your character. They gain bonus movements with them, so they can move with them the same. They also can share their abilities with them. But you can move them somewhere else, too. Says, familiars do not have actions of their own. A handler can spend one of their actions to instruct their familiar. The cost of one action can do one of the things. They can move up to 3 zones, melee attack, see the character's card, make some noise, or search, only if they have the search skill. So it can already be searched even if the handler's already searched for it. A familiar can hold a single equipment card it has found but not use it. The familiar may freely drop the equipment card or give it to its handler anytime in their same zone. Familiar cannot be given equipment cards with a trade action. So although they don't have an inventory, if they find something they can carry it, but they can't pick up items laying around or be given one to like, hey, which would be kind of a neat idea. And you can house roll it, but they can't currently, according to the rules. You can't give like your wolf familiar an item and have him run 3 spaces over and give it to somebody else. So that's kind of there. Additional skills they have: 3 zones per move action, +2 to guile or bird's eye view. Can trace line of sights over building and hedges. But cannot be traced into buildings through walls. It just gives them a higher advantage. Alright, so let's look at some of this stuff. We are going to look at our tiles first. I'm going to tilt my camera back up a little bit so you can get a better view. So here are our new tiles. They are going to start with number 21, so it'll go after Black Plague, Green Horde, and Wolfsburg, so that'd be the next one. So here we have some water tiles, some little rooms there, like storage room, some water tiles. So it's coast all the way around here, and then coast there, but then, yeah, it costs to move through those. Then on the other side, we have some hedges. This actually be really fun, because if you get Black Plague, or not Black Plague, Green Horde, you can have more different tiles to play with. Next one, we have another watering hole. There's a dead guy in there. Z-shaped one. Looks like some sort of armory, maybe. And then we have some more farming areas with some more hedges. Which is really fun. It's like, yeah, you can... So you can like combine these like that and make little hedge mazes you can't get through. Although this one's bordered by hedges all the way around, so it's a little bit harder to mix that with something else. We have another watering tile. Another Z shape. We have a 4 corners blocked by hedges. Like a little watering thing right in the middle. So it's like, can't go this way, can't go that way. But this is kind of fun because with this tile, if you run over here, stand over here, lure zombies as they fall in here, they can't get back out. I think the only way, if possible, they can get out of holes like this is if they have the extra activation. Then they can use their full extra activation, like you draw a card that says they're getting extra activation. They can use that because it's all in one burst, kind of thing. They can get an extra one. So here's kind of the same idea, but this one's kind of like in like maybe a cathedral type area. But yeah, you could drop guys in there. So now they do have the coasts on here, so they can walk in and out of this side. Is basically how that's showing. But if you drop them the other direction, like you're hanging out on this side, they drop in there. That means then they're gonna have to go up and all the way around to get to you. So that could set for some good traps. There are not any holes that are gonna trap them forever. Although that is a good concept, and they did do that in the original Zombicide. So here we have a different little square building, combination of some water and some hedges, which we have yet to see. And then another building. So I thought we could have these two together, have a big open pathway. Water on one side, hedges on the other. Or you could do it the other direction. Yeah, some definitely fun, different tiles you could link together to do some different things with. So those are our 5 new tiles. Yep, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 new tiles. So if you're looking for some new stuff, there we go. Alright, then we have equipment cards, and then we'll look at the survivors. Alright, so our equipment is just going to all be regular types of equipment. So we don't have any of the vault weapons. We don't have any magical equipment that has limits on them. So just some more regular equipment to add into the game. But that's fine. You know, definitely some new stuff isn't a terrible thing to have. So we have 2 copies of the Heavy Dagger. Another equipped melee weapon gains +1 die and 2 damage. So stab them with one thing and stab another. So now if you have dual wielding these, that means each dagger, you could combine them, get 4 dice, and do 6 damage. So it's actually pretty crazy. We have 2 heavy swords. Gain +1 die if another equipped card is a heavy dagger. So that's actually pretty cool too. We have 2 horned bows. Arrows choose targets when performing ranged actions with this weapon. Yeah, so it's basically sniper. I don't know if it's called sniper in this game, but yeah, I don't know why they didn't include that in here. Marksman is probably what it was called. So yeah, so I'm not sure why they didn't just give it that ability. Interesting. Then we have 2 copies of the mace. Very simple weapon, but, you know, again, nothing wrong with that. We have 2 backpack items. We have the Plague Mask. The survivors are immune to tainted blood spray. So that's cool that they gave at least an option. So now this is one of those things where it's like, if you're going to add these, like, you're going to add these in, you almost want to take out the same amount of cards out of there, out of your pile. Otherwise, you might, if you buy like all the games, you might have like way too many cards. If you're mixing Black Plague and Green Horde, if you're just playing with one base set, you can add these in freely. But if you're going to mix both big games plus all the expansion, at some point you may want to take some cards out. Then we finally have 3 copies of Power Wave Combat Spell. Add +1 die to another equipped combat spell. So cool. So you just boost some other of your combat spells. Alright, then we are going to have our last set of equipment, which are the companions. So we have Gog. He says, moves 3-4 zones. He has low profile, search, and slippery. So, of course, search, very explanatory there, lets you, find items. Slippery does not spend extra move actions to move out of zones containing zombies. And low profile, cannot get hit by magic or ranged attacks. Siege actions still apply. So ignore them when casting a combat spell or shooting in a zone they're standing in. Game effects to kill everything in a target zone, like dragon fire, still kill them. So it's kind of neat. So they can run in, do some attacks there. And there's his attacks. Could be send him out, have him stick next to you, or you can send him out to do his own attacks and damage. Then the other one is we have Magog, which are the same artwork, just different colors. They don't have anything different between them. I think they're the exact same stats, right? Yep, 3-3, or 3-4-1, yep. But they also give +1 die to the melee. But that's only if you're in the same spot as them. And then up next we have Seth, who's a flying cat creature. I'm sure there's a specific fantasy name for them, but I'm not sure what it is off the top of my head. 3 zones per move, bird's eye view, low profile, search, and slippery. So that's the same thing as the other one. It says max handlers +1 max range and bird's eye view, which bird's eye view just lets you look over buildings and stuff like that. We'll reread that quick, since that was one of the new keywords. It says, survivors may trace lines of sight over buildings and head zones beyond them. Line of sight cannot be traced into buildings through walls or through closed doors. So it works like the towers from Wolfsburg. And then we also have Vandius, who's the same thing. And then our other companion friend is the wolf, who's Nulcifer, who has 3 zones per movement, low profile, and slippery, but you get +2 melee dice. And then Vatan, his counterpart. Now, we are going to get double miniatures for all of these. They're definitely neat. So we're going to have... Let me scooch these out of the way. So for our 2 wolf friends, so we're going to have 2 different colors. Same model, same miniature. Just different colors. And that's so that way if you have both of them on the board, you can be like, hey, one is one of these, one's the other one. No, you're not getting confused on whose is whose. And then we have the little catbirds. And then finally we have the dogs. So definitely cool. You get 6 of them. Now there's the thing is, like you said, each segment of book, each player could start with one of them, so you only have 6. So that means if you're playing you're adding one of the you're adding like Wolfsburg, and you're adding an extra 4 players. That means 4 people wouldn't get them unless you bought another set, and then you have duplicate characters. So that's kind of how that is. Alright, let's look at our 4 characters. We have Doran, who is clearly a mage of some sort. There is his miniature. Gnarled staff, rune sword, or X sword at least. Scrolls hanging on his back. Oh, you like the pattern on the cloak to the bottom. Like, that's definitely cool. Alright, what can Doran do for us? He can hold an extra power wave, which we just got in this set. +1 die roll for magic he starts out with. He has yellow as 1 action, red, +1 die for magic, or spellbook. Spellbook will give you a free magic or enchantment action. So the difference that between combat is because a combat action would be ranged, melee, or magic. Just a magic action would be just combat spells. But Spellbook lets you have a free one for enchantments as well, because enchantments aren't technically combat. So that's the little bit difference there. Then we have Red, +1 die for magic. Roll 6, +1 die for magic. And then Spellcaster. So Spellcaster lets him... Ooh, I'm sorry. Spellcaster is the one that gives him the free action. Spell book says all combats, spells, and enchantments in the survivor's backpack are considered equipment in hand. With the skill, they can effectively have several at the same time. So that lets him have multiple spells at the same time. And with Power Wave, lets you gain a bonus for spells equipped. If he's using Power Wave up here, he can have 2 other different spells, and he could be giving either one of them a bonus at any given time. Not even up there, you got it just in his backpack even instead of armor on. So that's definitely cool. And then the difference between +1 die for magic and roll 6 1-die magic is the first one you're always going to gain 1 extra die no matter what. On roll 6 +1 die means anytime you roll a 6 you're going to get an extra die. So if you were rolling 3 dice and you rolled 3 6s, you would get 3 extra dice. And then if you rolled 2 more 6s out of them, then you get 2 more extra dice. So you could potentially keep getting a lot of extra dice versus just 1 die. But you could also roll nothing and get no extra dice. So, a little bit here and there. Alright, our next survivor is Cabral. Again, this is, I love these when they do like, so I don't know if he's considered an orc. He kind of looks like it. Well, I like when they're giving the other races. It's one of my favorite things. It's a fantasy game. You know, give me different types of fantasy characters. It's not just, you know, humans. So that's definitely fun. So he starts with, you use a heavy dagger. He starts with shove. I think you're letting him use the weapons from this set, which is really cool. Shove lets you push a group of zombies from one space into an empty space adjacent to them. +1 action, Barbarian, and Bloodlust melee. Bloodlust lets you move 2 spaces forward to a zone containing an enemy and perform an attack. So this one will be specifically only melee attacks. So I can help him get an extra 2 spaces to do a free attack. Or he has Barbarian, which is really powerful. When resolving melee action, the survivor may substitute the dice number of the melee weapons they use with the number of zombies standing in the zone. Skills affecting the dice value, +1 melee still apply. So what that means is if he's swinging this heavy sword, he'd roll 2 dice. If that zone has 5 zombies, he could instead choose to use his Barbarian ability and roll 5 dice instead. So basically, the more guys there are, the more powerful they are. But it also means you have to be up in the thick of it, because it's a melee attack. And then he has red, +1 die for melee, +1 free melee action, or +1 die roll to melee. Yeah, do you want that extra dice? Do you want to have 1 free extra action, so you can use Bloodlust to get in there and get the free action, or using Barbarian to get a free action? Do you just want the extra full die? This could be good for Bloodlust. Maybe not as much Barbarian, but it's not bad either, again, because if there's 3 guys, you can go for 3, but now you have 4. Or do you want to have +1 die roll for your melee, so all your melee actions get 1 extra chance for accuracy. So yeah, kind of how you want to play it. Alright, then we have Caitlyn. She's dual wielding some weapons, but she gets to hold a horned bow. She's got her double daggers, her big billowy cape, her bow in the back, the bedroll. Definitely cool. Let's see what she can do. Brothers in Arms, +1 die for combat. Ooh, that is fun. The Brothers in Arms ability is a really cool effect. So what it means is, as long as she is in a space with at least 1 other survivor, her and any other survivors in that zone all gain 1 extra die for combat. So that means anytime they have to roll a dice, like you look at short sword, instead of rolling 2, you always roll 3. The downside of the Brothers in Arms is it only works if you're in a space. So if she's by herself, she loses that ability. Just effectively, she stays next to somebody. they're going to do a lot of extra damage. But yeah, when you're moving independently, that can be very tricky to do, because if her turn's first, she has to move, and she does stuff, she attacks, she loses her ability, then the second player comes behind her, moves into her area, they gain the benefit. Or vice versa. She moves towards them, or they move first, they don't have the bonus thing, she moves in. Where it's really effective if you're standing in an area together and zombie moves into your area, because now you both start out with that. Assuming you don't kill them all in one turn. But now we have +1 action. Her orange, 1 free melee action, or sprint. Sprint will let her move up to 3 location or zones, so that's helpful for her to get closer to her friends to help her out. And then red, +1 free combat action, +1 free move action, or roll 6 +1 damage. Yeah, she's just all about doing some combat. And that's kind of neat. She can hold the bow as like a backup weapon if she needs it. And then finally we have Solveig. So it's like we have a Viking woman. Beaded around all her clothes. The stitches on her pant legs. Plus, like, the shield has like the lines of the dots in it, which is very good. Scarab on the back. Her braided hair, I love it. If you could kill a zombie, would you? Well, she's gonna tell you to, because she can also wield a heavy sword, which is what she has in her artwork, which is really cool. I like when they do that, though, when they give the weapons that are in their artwork. So that's cool. Yeah, she has Born Leader, which lets her select another character, another survivor, and give them a free action. So during their turn, they give one free action to another survivor who pleases action, must be used during the recipient's next turn or is lost. So this is a little bit different than how it works in regular Zombicide, where regular Zombicide, or at least second edition, I should say, I guess I can't speak for classic. If you give them that action, they have to use it immediately, and then you get your turn. This one, you give them a token, and then on their turn, they get one extra action. Which one's necessarily better, it's hard to say. I kind of like the idea of they have to, if you give them the action, they have to perform it right away, because that can basically tell them, like, hey, I need you to move, open this door, and then I can go through it on my turn, or I can do this. Like, yeah, instead of just giving them natural charisma to getting extra action, hey, I need you to do this right now. It's just, whatever you're doing, do this for me. But that's how the game is. In orange, she has 1 free combat action, or Brothers in Arm Iron Hide. So yeah, we have the Brothers in Arm again with Iron Hide, which says survivors may make an armor roll of +5 armor value, even when they're not wearing armor on their body slot. When wearing armor, the survivor adds +1 to the result for each die they roll, to a maximum result is always 6. So that's fun. Everyone has a built-in armor buff of 5, which isn't great. You have to roll 5 or 6. But if they have armor, so it's not negating they have to have it, then they at least gain that extra bonus so they can hit even better. And then in her red, 1 free combat action, +1 die roll for melee or bloodlust melee. So yeah, she's going to stick around her team, get in there, and do some stuff. So that's kind of fun. You can sit down and play 4 players. You can play each of these guys as a group. Or you could, just mix and match them with everything else. Plus, getting those extra companions is really fun. It almost adds an extra character to the game in that sense. Alright, so that is what we have for Friends and Foes. So if you're looking for some new survivors, some new tiles, some new quests, everything, it's what an expansion should be. It's a little bit of everything, plus a new mechanic with the familiars. Does a great job at that. And so it can be added to either set, makes it even better. So you don't have to own a specific one or the other to play this stuff, except for, again, all the quests. Alright, see you guys in the next Zombicide video. Bye!